G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. It's Tuesday, it's News Day. Let's take a look what happened last week in the world of rugby. Obviously, last week, the buffoon, the monkey that keeps giving us gifts from Rugby Australia, Hamish McLennan. Here it is. The buffoon that keeps giving me content for YouTube came out last week and made one of the stupidest statements I have ever heard in my life. He basically went on to Fox Sports and said the Super Rugby contract with New Zealand is coming up due 2023. He basically said, we will honor our commitment in 2023, but we'll see what's next for rugby in Australia, leading up to Rugby World Cup in Australia in 27. All bets are off from 24 onwards with New Zealand. And this idiotic statement obviously lit a massive social media and, storm in New Zealand. I'm not sure if he's actually trolling, but if he was, congratulations, that was a great troll. But if you are not, you know what? If you're not trolling, Hamish, the best for Rugby Australia going forward is to have you removed from being the chairman. That's the best going forward for Rugby Australia, okay? You are absolutely a buffoon. You are an absolute buffoon. You are literally going to have trucks of money wheelbarrowed into your doorstep from World Rugby, Australian government, for hosting the Lions tour, hosting the Rugby World Cup, and you're gonna abandon rugby in the Pacific region. That is your plan. That is your plan. Instead of taking the money, taking the opportunity to grow the sport, maybe adding Japan back in, maybe, offer some bigger contracts to bolster Australian domestic teams since we are lacking a lot of talent in some of their teams. Instead of putting money into the grassroots, having more players wanting to play rugby, there is abundance, a world of talent from rugby league that you can offer up contracts for them to jump ship to rugby, right? Nah, we're just gonna abandon Super Rugby. Yeah, that's a great idea. That sounds good. Abandon Super Rugby. Yeah, you are an absolute buffoon, Hamish. Just, I'm not even angry. I hope this is the end of this guy. Like, this is just, I've been calling for this guy to be removed for like years now. He's so incompetent, so stupid. A monkey can do a better job. Like, honestly, I want to apologize to Raylene Castle. I thought she was terrible, okay? She did a better job than this monkey. At least she can get the business going, the basic business acumen. She might not have the passion for Rugby Australia. She probably has more passion for New Zealand rugby. Okay, she probably doesn't have the passion to drive us Rugby Australia into the next level. But she can do the administration, the basics. She gets the things done. The basic, logical things done. This guy, he's an absolute monkey. Have no idea. An absolute Muppet. A Muppet can do a better job. Because a Muppet won't go to Fox Sport and say stupid things like this. Just unbelievable. But yeah, you know what? You should. You should do what's best for Rugby Australia going forward. And resign. Hamish McLennan, you're an absolute idiot. And obviously, the New Zealand pundit came out with some good points, right? They think it's not actually a threat. They think the Rugby Australia is trying to position themselves to get a bigger share of the profit from Super Rugby. So that's what they're trying to do. So Jeff Wilson basically saying that Rugby Australia is trying to leverage the Rugby World Cup coming up, trying to leverage the Lions tour to pressure New Zealand Rugby to give them a better deal for the Super Rugby tournament. He thinks that's the power play that's going on here. Obviously, Fijian Endura and Moana Pacific are two new sides added into Super Rugby, both funded by New Zealand, by the way, is obviously a huge issue if the competition is to be abandoned in 2023. Not to mention the yeah, there's so many different levels of structure that's going out of order if Super Rugby is abandoned. And yeah, it's just, you can read into some of this chat, but yeah, hopefully he's trolling. Actually, no, I don't think he's trolling. I think he should just be removed. I hope that everybody in the world can see this guy's an absolute Muppet and get rid of him. Get rid of this guy. Get rid of the cancer from Rugby Australia, and we can all have a better future with rugby for everybody across the Tasman. Okay. Anyway, obviously this all came out after the Crusaders outclassed the Blues in the Super Rugby final. All New Zealanders are fair. This was a pretty painful. The Blues finally, they had been struggling to be fair to close out the games for quite a number of games now, and finally the Crusaders came to collect, and the Blues' weaknesses has just really exemplified in this game. Everything that went wrong throughout the season, the mistakes that was overlooked, just compiled and multiplied in this one game. The lineouts, the Blues lost 10 lineouts, 10 of their own throws. Yes, 10 of their own throws in one match. Eklund, the hooker, had, every game he's consistently missed lineouts, 2 or 3 lineouts every game, but never to a huge degree like this match where he missed 10. Actually, he probably missed 7, and then the reserve guy missed like another 2 or 3. So that lineout issue really was exposed. Obviously, there wasn't big enough an issue throughout the season to be rectified. When it comes to the finals time, the Crusaders came to collect. Sam Whitelock and Scott Barrett really did a good job and really exposed that weakness, really. And also, without the front rowers, without the 4-pack being able to dominate those set pieces, the Blues backline was just neutered. Was not able to do anything. RTS was subbed off the field, 44th minute, whilst the David Havili was just being an absolute superstar on the other side of Crusaders team, doing those 50-22 kicks, doing a lot of really good kicking game as well, showing from the 12 position. And yeah, this was quite a blowout to be fair for the Crusaders to beat the Blues 21-7. Like the Crusaders looked firmly in control for the entire game. Wasn't even close. And yeah, this was really disappointing. I think it's something that is just like the Blues just overlooked so many issues because they haven't been challenged. And even against Crusaders during the season, they beat the Crusaders with so it wasn't really, so they really like underestimated and underprepared. They didn't really, what you call it, dot their I's and cross their T's going into this game, and that's pretty much what happened. And now this is a thing. This is a big thing. For a lot of you New Zealand fans, this is something I can see like really probably costing New Zealand the World Cup. The concussion protocols that came out. And I'll explain to you why. So basically the new concussion protocol came out that basically said that if a player gets concussed during the match, if they have a history of concussion, or if they are, or if they have obvious symptoms during the match and are removed from the match, they have to be mandatory rest for 12 days. Yes, 12 days. Currently, you can foreseeably get back the next week. You just have to rest up for, I think, 7 days. 7 days after injury. So currently not currently. What is it? I think currently you just have to rest a week. But if you are not, okay, let's just start again. So if you're visibly concussed on the field, you will mandatorily step down for 12 days. If you have a history of concussion, you have to mandatorily step down for 12 days. But if you don't have either of those things, like after the game you came out to be a bit woozy, then you will potentially be back after 7 days if you can pass the independent concussion assessment by a consultant, right? So that's basically the new law. Now you might think, yeah, wait a second, Walker, how is this going to affect the All Blacks? So the head injury the what's so called history, this is the key term here, the history of concussion is defined by the following. If a player has had a concussion diagnosed in the previous 3 months, one diagnosed 3 months, that means they have a history. Or 3 diagnoses in 12 months, that's a history. Or a player has been diagnosed 5 concussion incidences in their career, that's a history. And the final point, which is the most important point, for the All Blacks, if a player has taken longer than 21 days to recover from a single concussion event, that player is considered to have a history of concussion. And they will, if they get a knock on the field, they will have to step down for 12 days. And yes, a lot of you guys already know, I can see it, the dread in your eyes. Beauden Barrett has a history of concussion. He played Ireland last year and he did not recover from the concussion for many months. Yeah, even to the start of Super Rugby, he still said he had lingering headaches. That's from a concussion he suffered in November. So like 3 months later, he still had lingering headaches. Yeah, so if Beauden ever gets a knock, he's going to be out for 12 days. And in the Rugby World Cup, 12 days could be 2 matches. Because you could potentially play a match in between. Could be 3 matches, actually. You could play like a match on a Wednesday, a match on a Saturday, and then another match on like the next weekend. Yeah, so you could play like... No, yeah, you could potentially miss 2 matches. Yeah. No, you wouldn't miss 2 matches. Is it 2? Yeah, you could potentially miss 2 matches. Yeah. So, yeah. You definitely, yeah, that's, yeah. So Beauden Barrett, it's in the category. 21 days longer to recover from a single concussion. So yeah, that's really concerning. But luckily, I don't think Richie Mo'unga will do a fine job for the Rugby World Cup for the All Blacks. But yeah, that is a really strict law change to concussion protocols. This has they basically paid like a consultant to come up with this, 17 strong independent consultant work group to come up with this. Yeah, Beauden Barrett. Yeah, okay, yeah. It's funny how they have this guy's picture, but the first man that popped into my mind when I saw this 21 days to recover is Beauden Barrett. Yeah, England obviously named their squad to play Australia. Not really gonna read into it too much. I think obvious guys. So the big name that kind of returned, Billy Vunipola gets called back. Sinclair, we've talked about last week that he's injured, and this is a pretty you'll have to see the exact selections. But anyway, speaking of England, speaking of the England-Australian match, there's obviously the Wallabies team has been announced. There's obviously 3 number 10s that could go forward. There's a lot of people favouring Quade Cooper being the number 10 for Australia. James O'Connell came out this week and basically said he's happy to go back to 15. I don't think O'Connell is a good enough 15 at the moment. He's just not fast enough as 15. Like 15s nowadays, you need to have that like attack like option. I don't think O'Connor really has that speed to have that threat of counter attacking. So I do feel like O'Connor should stay at 10 and maybe have... Yeah, it's a difficult decision. I feel like maybe... Yeah, because if you're not going to take Quade to the World Cup, you might also just put a Quade on the bench, to be honest. Even if Quade is the better option for number 10, we'll have to see. I'll have to see the forms of the players when it comes to the matches. Obviously, the England got flogged by the Baabaas on the weekend. I watched this game like on the side. I didn't watch it like tentatively. The England side was like a B team. Like half of the team was like the B team. This was probably one of the worst, like just one of those games that you watch. England was like already behind. Like the Baabaas played with more flair, more guts, more like, more daring rugby, and the England just plays super conservatively. Even when they were like 2 tries behind, England was still going for those 3 points. I thought, first of all, this game is not like you're trying to win the Six Nations. Why bother kicking 3 points? I don't understand. Like, why would you even try to go for 3 points? This is the perfect opportunity for you to execute those set pieces, execute whatever game plan strategy you want to execute. You know, you obviously have a lot of new players on the field for this game. What's the point of kicking for 3 when the new players are just standing around? This is the opportunity for them to work out whether they're fit for the position, right? It was just so bad. So bad. I don't even know what's going on in this like this decision making. And obviously the Baabaas even had a player in a red card this game. So Will Skelton get a red card. And by the way, if some of you guys from New Zealand watching this, go watch this tackle from Will Skelton. It's not even a tackle, it's literally a hug. He literally hugged the player and he got a red card because his shoulder touched the player's face. Okay? And you might think, oh my god, like some of the stuff we saw at Super Rugby was some of you guys like, oh, that like Josh, the Goodhue tackle, should have been a yellow. Some of you guys think that's the wrong assessment. Yeah, go watch this one. He literally hugged him, and then he got a red card. Red, not yellow, red. And this was a full time, like not 20-minute red card. This was a full match red card. So the Baabaas beat England with 14 players. I kid you not. Yeah, this was so bad. And what was bad about this game? Some of the French players played really well. I think it was what is his name? What's his name? The winger. I can't remember his name, but I know his face. His name will come up to me later. But yeah, and then obviously the fun part is, one of the players kicked a few conversions, and one of the conversion kick was a heel kick. He stood and he kicked the ball backwards with his heel. So there's some argument about whether this is legal or not. So according to the law, the heel kick is illegal in a penalty kick, but in a conversion, there's no specific rules that say this was illegal. So the law does not say that in the penalty kick, it specifically said he cannot be kicked with the knee or the heel of the foot, but with the conversion, it does not say that. He just said you can just kick. It just says kick it. It just basically says must be kicked over the crossbar between the posts without touching a teammate or the ground. That's all it says. It doesn't say how the kick should be kicked. So you really, whether or not comes down to what is the technicality of what a kick is, and a goal. Yeah, and it's just a little bit bizarre because obviously conversion's a little bit different. You can do a drop kick for conversion. I don't think you can do a drop kick for penalties. Yeah, so I really don't know what's going on. I don't think you can do a drop kick for penalties. Maybe I'm wrong. But I know with the conversion, you can do a drop kick. So there's obviously a bit difference there. But yeah, it depends on what you think, what the technicality is. But again, it's a Baabaas game. It's just for a bit of fun. However they want to kick it, they want to kick it. So we're just talking about England as well. Billy Vunipola gets called back after his good performance in the English Premiership finals. And yeah, I thought Billy Vunipola, it's just like size and experience that's going to add to the England team. Yeah, we'll have to see what happens in Australia. So yeah, Will Skelton, we just mentioned, first Baabaas ever gets sent off by a red card. Go watch this replay. This was it literally looked like a hug to me, like, honestly. If you thought how good Hugh can get away with not even a penalty on the weekend, you should watch this one. And Will Skelton came out apologizing, but that's just the way the game is refereed. It's the New Zealand referees that just really bad and cheats. Yeah, it's cheating. It's called cheating. Not giving. Anyway, so obviously the other side of the world, the URC final was played in South Africa between two South African teams. The Bulls lost to the Stormers away, 18 points to 13. This was really tight. The Bulls was in control for about half a game, 7 points to 3 at halftime, and then the Stormers really came out in the second half. There was a yellow card in the second half. Again, really in New Zealand, that's probably not even going to be a yellow. Hendricks was yellow carded from the Bulls, and that really kind of started a turning point for the Stormers. to really start rumbling a few points, a few tries. Eventually, it was a drop goal from the block. He could not kick a conversion, could not kick a penalty, but he did a drop goal. No, I think did he kick a penalty? I think he did kick a penalty in this game. He missed one right in front, and he'd kick another one. He did miss he missed a penalty. That was pretty easy, but he made up for it with a drop goal to open the gap to 5. So the Bulls had to score a try at the end. But yeah, the Bulls handling everything was a little bit off. Wasn't able to close out the game to let the inaugural URC title goes to the Stormers. This is a trivia question. So after the game, Jake White obviously had was not happy with the referee decisions. Not because of the yellow card. The yellow card is what it is. He was a little bit not happy about the offside. He felt like there was a bit of offside going on that wasn't called, and also he felt like the breakdown. Some of the players had their hands on the ground before they jacked onto the ball for the Stormers. That wasn't missed. So yeah, he wasn't happy. He was obviously frustrated, and following that frustration, he obviously worked really hard with the Bulls team, and he's struggling to find the talents for the Bulls team. Like, he's such a brilliant coach. I feel he's done everything he possibly can to take what he's got and, taking the Bulls to beat the Leinster away with the brilliant strategy of the 4-pack dominance. So he's obviously really upset. So there were some questions after asking him about whether the overseas players should be allowed to play the Springboks. He kind of just went, yeah, he thinks that's pretty stupid. How the player could make a lot more money going overseas and still be qualified to play for South Africa. What's the point of people staying? For any talent to stay in South Africa, essentially, he can visibly tell that he's very frustrated by the situation, by how hard he's worked for the Bulls, and is just not able to. He's just really not getting the talent that he just look at how many Springboks are in the Stormers and how many Springboks are in the Bulls. You can see the difference there. And he's visibly frustrated by that. A bit more news from the Springboks. Elton Jantjies was cleared to play for the Springboks. He was charged following a flight to Johannesburg. He was charged with damaging the plane. I don't know the exact description of what happened, what exactly happened on the plane, but apparently he damaged the plane, and then he got arrested or something afterwards. Basically, the charges were dropped, and yeah, essentially he's able to play for the Springboks. So no worries. Damian McKenzie, Dmac, has returned to New Zealand from Japan. He had his contract ran out last year, so he signed a 1 season with the Japanese team for 1.5 million, which is quite a bit of money. That's pretty good coins. And he's pretty much done with that sabbatical, and then he's back home and he's re-signed with New Zealand Rugby. And he's currently going to be playing for the Chiefs again, going back to play for the Chiefs and Wildkard. So yeah, Dmac is back, and he could potentially be called up if Beauden Barrett gets out 12 days. Oh yeah, the 12 days head concussion kicks in July, 1st of July. So yeah, if Beauden gets a bit of dink, we could potentially see Dmac getting called up. So he might return sooner than we think. There was a international match played on the weekend. Japan played Uruguay in Tokyo 34-15. I didn't watch this game because this game was played alongside of the Super Rugby final. But yeah, this was a good win for Japan. 15 points. Uruguay is a contender in the Rugby World Cup as well. So this is really good practice for Japan's World Cup preparations. Finally this week, last bit of news. The RFU, which is the English Football Union, basically decided to use what's called the instrumented mouthguard. This is a quite interesting technology. So they're going to have this mouthguards with chips in it that gives real-time data measurement for collision to a player, and basically using that data to assess a player's concussions and everything. It's interesting stuff. I feel like, again, this is something that really does give some more, it's good to see that these technologies are being used to, give real-time update to see how badly a player could be hurt after a head collision. Essentially you can just say, if there's sufficient impact on a player's head, you can preemptively, say, you don't say a player needs to be taken off the field, because a lot of times a player can get up and pretend that they're fine and they're actually really, woozy. With this sort of technology, they will be able to get immediate data to see whether a player has been severely hit in the head or not. Maybe they can use this to decide whether a red card should be given or not. If an impact on the head is, smaller than a certain amount, then there shouldn't be a red card because it's just a gentle tap, right? Because sometimes with the replay, everything looks pretty bad and it could just be a tiny little bump. And then sometimes a huge bump happened. A player is just walking it off and they probably should have been taken off the field. So maybe this can help with that as well. So yeah, really interesting stuff. Some technology being added into rugby. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching this video. I really want to sneeze right now. So like, comment, subscribe, yada, yada. I'm going to cut it off before I sneeze. I really do appreciate you being here. Let me know your thoughts on any of the articles. And see you guys a bit later this week. Cheers.